Being part of the ISV Connect program helps our visibility with Microsoft sellers, which in turn helps us when we're introduced to new partners.
It has accelerated our entrance into new markets, and our product is developing with higher quality and at higher speed than it would otherwise have.
Things like ISV licensing, handling our licenses just like any Microsoft first-party applications. We see that as a big benefit.
What ISV Connect program introduced is very different level of confidence with our customer. And with the Microsoft expanding the program, we are expecting to grow our ISV portfolio significantly.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome to another installment of the ISV Connect live event. My name is Brian Galicia, and I truly appreciate for those of you watching live or potentially eventually replay, thank you for investing the time. We do these shows every Monday at 8 o'clock West Coast time to really highlight the ecosystem. And Aptitude software is no different. It's super exciting because they are brand new to the Microsoft ecosystem, particularly with Dynamics. And we have Nick on the phone with me. And before we get to introducing him and Aptitude software, just a quick housekeeping items, just so that people who've never come across this before, how do you engage? So first off, we'd love to have you comment where you're watching from. Maybe you're watching from London, England, where Nick is doing the show, or me from Seattle, or anywhere in between. We'd love to have you comment. We'll do a quick shout out after we do introductions, just to shout out the fact that where you're watching from. The second is that if you have a question during the conversation that I have with Nick, we'd love to have you comment. So if you have a question or something's resonating with you, either comment in the LinkedIn feed and or utilize one of the icons in the LinkedIn experience, like, support, etc., because that also gives us an indication that the content is resonating. So without further ado, Nick, thank you so much for allocating the time. And during the pre-show, If I truly appreciate you making the time, because you just stepped off a plane literally about 24, 48 hours ago. So thank you for allocating the time. We can just, why don't we start out with, what do you do? What's your role at Aptitude Software? And an icebreaker question I ask all my guests is, what's one thing not on your LinkedIn profile that you're open to sharing with the viewers we have either live or the eventual replay?
Thank you for the welcome, Brian. Yep, got off the plane yesterday and really keen, and it's a pleasure to be here talking to you today. So thank you for inviting us to this event. At Aptitude Software, I'm the SVP for Finance Digitalization within the product team at Aptitude. And this means I have responsibility for setting the long-term vision for our products, and broadly translates into two key areas. Firstly, I spend a lot of my time with clients, partners, industry professionals to ensure we have a clear understanding of what the market and specifically our clients need, whether that's the business problems that they're trying to solve, whether it's a CFO or a CIO looking to embark on a finance transformation program, or a chief revenue officer looking to gain business insight and identify growth potential. So it can be quite varied. Secondly, I'm responsible for taking this market intel and setting a vision for how our portfolio of products here at Aptitude needs to evolve to meet these critical client needs. Finance is a constantly evolving space. We've always got new areas of standards that we're looking to incorporate into our products, whether that's new industry trends, evolving new technologies, or just ensuring compliance with the latest finance accounting standards and regulations. A really good recent example of this has been emerging ESG and finance sustainability requirements, which we're looking at how we support within our platforms. One thing then not on my LinkedIn profile, I recently took on a new hobby. So I'll talk a little bit about that. Something that came up during the pandemic, where I obviously had a bit of time on my hands, and I got into DIY woodworking.
Oh, so, wow.
Something I just never realized I had any passion for until I found an old cot in my garage. My kids had obviously grown out of it, so I started dismantling that, repairing the wood, ended up turning that into a herb planter.
Wow.
I've upcycled some furniture at home since. I think the largest item I've made to date has been a sort of bench for the garden, so we can sit out there in the few summer months that we have here in London.
Well, I love it, Nick. Yeah, this is the first time I've ever heard one of my guests talk about woodworking. That's fantastic. I guess how much equipment? I mean, because when I think about woodworking, some of the equipment can be pretty bulky, because planers and drill presses and miter saws and all these things. Like, how much have you invested in the woodworking equipment?
More than I probably should have done, because I think that's probably one of the key attractions to it for me, is just being able to get some of the tools out. Anytime I now embark on a new project, it's the first question my wife asks me, which is, couldn't we just buy a new one for cheaper than the tools that you're going to buy to do this one?
I love it. Well, I mean, it's one of those things. I wish I had that hobby, because there's always that situation where you're doing something, you're like, oh my gosh, you have to put something together, or even just simple framing of like windows in a house. I always thought, like, those professionals that do that, they do such an amazing job. And it's probably not that hard once you know exactly measurements and how to do things. So anyway.
Great. It's a great new skill just to be able to pick something else up new.
Yeah, I love it. I love it, Nick. Well, thank you so much for doing that. So before we get to the question, let me do a quick shout out. We got a number of people putting comments in window, and thank you everyone who took the time to watch this live. So Ingmar, thank you for watching from Belgium. That's fantastic. Lance from Texas, Fort Worth. Thank you, Lance. Good to see you. Dennis from India. So Dennis, thank you for staying up really late your time, because I know the time in India is pretty late. So thank you for making the time. We have Umesh. Hopefully I'm pronouncing it right, from Aurora, Illinois. So thank you, Umesh, for joining. This one is Tosin. So I don't know, sometimes it does this, but Tosin, another person watching from England, which is great. We have Michael from Boston. So thanks, Michael. We have Matthew, another Bostonian, and then one more, and then one last Bostonian. I think they win the game of having multiple people from the Boston area. So thanks, Carl, for making the time. So why don't we just get started, Nick? Why don't you talk a little bit about, for those who don't know Aptitude software, why don't you talk about what does Aptitude software do? And because of the role you described, Nick, it's great because you talked about like like what you do and the focus areas of the direction of Aptitude software, and that you probably played a big role into the partnership with Microsoft and integration with Dynamics Finance and Operations. So maybe you can start there and talk about those two topics.
Yeah. So at Aptitude, we serve mid-tier to enterprise clients, and we're experts in the intricacies of finance digitalization, subscription management, compliance, and revenue management. As a firm, we focus on complex business problems, and we implement solutions that provide clarity, confidence, and control that are needed to help our clients grow and achieve their business outcomes. We have two main markets that we operate in. First one is finance digitalization, which is focused on delivering automated and agile solutions to the office of the CFO. And that includes our successful accounting standards compliance engines. We operate across all industries and can provide value to any client with complexity and scale, with a strong focus on the financial services industry. And that's quite key for us. To describe finance digitalization in a nutshell, I always look at it as providing solutions to CFOs that need higher quality granular data. They need that data faster, and they need it at a dramatically lower cost than today. So we talk about it very much in the sense of better, cheaper, and faster for a finance function. Our second main market that we operate in is subscription and revenue management. Now, this has a strong focus for us in print, digital, publishing, media, and video streaming businesses. Our subscription management solution is called eSuite, and it's also a Microsoft co-sell ISV solution, and is deployable on Microsoft Azure. However, today's discussion will be focusing in on our finance digitalization products. So let me explain a little bit about our partnership with Microsoft and the integration with Dynamics 365 in particular. So I spoke a little bit about finance digitalization, but let's talk about the products that we have in this area, and then how we have various layers, I guess, to our Microsoft partnership. Our finance digitalization solutions really look to equip finance teams to be better, faster, and at a lower cost. Early last year, we launched Fynapse. Now, Fynapse is Aptitude's next generation, fully automated finance management platform. It's been designed from the ground up and leverages our 2 decades worth of experience with finance management solutions. And it is really designed with the finance user at its heart. So it's very strong in terms of the UX experience for the finance users, helping to reduce that dependency on IT and technology teams. Fynapse will transform a finance function to be extremely efficient, highly controlled, and data insight driven. At its core, Fynapse is a business event-driven accounting engine, which effectively means it's providing the finance function with the most granular transactional view of a ledger. Now, that's with full control, transparency, and automated accounting rules and logic. Now, if I play into that, how our Microsoft partnership has evolved over the years, I always like to look at our Microsoft partnership in 3 key pillars. The first one is that our finance platform is deployable on Azure, as is our eSuite subscription management product. Fynapse is a SaaS offering built fully on cloud-native technologies, and given our strong credentials, particularly in the financial services industry, being deployable on Azure was a non-negotiable for us and for our clients. Secondly, we are now a co-sell ISV partner, and to support this, Fynapse has now been published on the App Source. At Aptitude, we're extremely confident in the vision and design of our Fynapse solution, and particular benefits it will help to accelerate for any finance function and in any industry. So being a co-sell ISV partner now opens our solution to such a broad range of industries and clients. Now, for someone like me who is very passionate about our finance solution and how we solve complex finance problems, it's incredibly exciting to be able to take that out to new clients, new industries, and new opportunities. Third part of our Microsoft partnership, and this is probably the most important, is our Fynapse solution is now integrated with Dynamics 365 Finance. Now, if I look at Fynapse and D365 Finance, the big similarity that we have is that we both aim to solve complex finance problems, but with solutions that are agile, automated, and AI business insight driven. The functional scope that the two solutions provide is therefore really complementary, and that is why the integrated product offering now really provides a differentiator in the industries that we operate in. That integration between the two products has been co-developed by Aptitude and Microsoft, so it's got an automatic reconciliation built in between the two systems.
Nick, I love it. I mean, what a comprehensive end-to-end viewpoint of what you've done across the Microsoft Cloud and particularly Dynamics, because that's where business process really exists in the solutions that we offer. And I love how you touched upon the kind of roles that we try to serve, which is really a chief revenue officer, but in particular, also the chief finance officer, the CFO. And things you talked about, like the automation of the finance and accounting process, deliver, I think what I caught was deliver real-time business insights, which is pretty powerful, especially in this economy we're in right now. Who doesn't want to have a better view as to forecasting, especially public companies, forecasting what the earnings are going to be, what are certain things that are going to be happening. So maybe you could talk about like the outcomes that we solve together. So we can imagine, especially in this economy we're in, such a sensitivity, one, to profit, to optimizing certain processes internally, and what we like to call kind of do more with less. Maybe you could describe today, like what are some of the things that you're observing and seeing that when you pull in Aptitude software and Microsoft together, that we're solving these challenges of and let's say we'll focus on a CFO. What are some of those things that we help to really, really lean into that are top of mind challenges that when they introduce Aptitude software and Dynamics F&O, that they go, oh, okay, that is helping me with better insights and the ability to automate the process of finance and accounting.
Yeah, absolutely. And let me, Brian, the way I'll try and answer that is firstly by just giving a little bit of the strengths of where we see the Fynapse solution, a little bit of the strengths of where D365 Finance plays, and then exploring what that therefore means for either existing clients of either application or new clients looking at solving finance problems. So firstly, on the Fynapse side, really what Fynapse is allowing you to do is centralize and standardize your accounting rules and granular data processing, but making sure that we continue to execute them at the most granular level. So really providing that data insight, transparency, and control all the way back to source systems. The integration with D365 then allows you to aggregate this information for onward processing, which is really there to eliminate unnecessary noise in your general ledgers. And we also often talk about a thin general ledger in terms of the ideal implementation for a finance architecture. The reason that's critical is that it gives you far more agility and automation in your business insights and your financial forecasting processes, because as a finance function, obviously, it's not just about reporting on the historical results or events. It really is trying to drive new business decisions, describing what the future looks like so that your forecasting processes start to drive how you use data in your day-to-day finance processes. With D365 Finance, if you look at the core of the D365 solution there, it really is around providing that business insights off the back of the general ledger implementation. And I think this is where that integration with Fynapse allows you to look at this from a transactional accounting and financial management perspective, but to continue by having that full drawback of the capability from your general ledger all the way through to the source information with the integrated solution.
Well said. Yeah, I mean, that's great, Nick. That's a great overview of the impact that we can do together. And maybe it's a good segue. We actually got a great question from Umesh on, and this is very topical because AI is coming from everywhere. Maybe we could take it online right now, or maybe we could go offline, but do you have a point of view on parts of the Aptitude software scenarios that have AI, and what type of kind of AI does the CFO benefit?
So we've started to explore the use of AI across our portfolio. If I look at it from a CFO perspective and the finance use cases where we believe where AI can deliver benefit, I think there's absolutely a use case around a very simple use, which is in terms of data quality checking, data anomaly checking. How do you know your data's right? How do we correct it? And even how do we automate some of those processes that are recurring finance processes that happen every month, every quarter, without fail, whether that's looking at robotics process automation, but that need for manual journals is always going to be there. And how we look at automating that is a key way of delivering benefits to our clients. I think on the more sophisticated end, you're looking then at financial forecasting processes and modeling, predictive modeling to say, we know based off these scenarios that have occurred in the past and the deep data that we've had, we can now make predictions in terms of how the macroeconomic factors in the economy are going to impact on a particular business model, and therefore help to start driving some of those forward-looking finance decisions.
I love it. And I think that's spot on. It's the forward-looking. It's not just what happened, but also how can we predict potential things in the future based upon the data we have. And that's really well said.
Absolutely. And Brian, one proof point there, I think, in terms of we ran a survey of finance functions just to assess how much of a finance user's time is spent looking backwards, reporting on what happened last month. I think the metric was around 70% of a finance function's time is trying to tell me what's happened last week, last month, last quarter, whereas actually what the business want to know rapidly is, yes, I need to know where I closed the books last month, but actually I need to know where the books are going to close the next month, the next quarter, the next year. That's far more important. So it really is around, the looking backwards is not less important. We've just got to do it in an automated and controlled way, and a more simplified way, so that actually we can shift that percentage around the other way, where maybe 30% of your time is looking backwards, 70% is spent looking forwards and really driving business value add.
100%. I mean, even I think about the business that I'm in, that's what happens for every month. And when we're talking about how BizApps ISVs are progressing, it is that balance where we're not just looking at what happened, but how do we predict what we think is going to happen for the remainder of a fiscal quarter or a fiscal year. So that brings us to another next great question is, what's the Aptitude Software's Microsoft ecosystem experience been like? Because of course, you mentioned all the great things that Aptitude Software has started to, well, not just started, but also is engaged with on a day-to-day basis across the Microsoft cloud. You mentioned Azure, now Dynamics Finance and Operations. So maybe you can get a little a brief point of view, Nick, on just what's the partnership been like so far working with Microsoft.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Brian, overall, it's been such an incredibly positive experience for all of the teams involved. As I mentioned earlier, we're proud at Aptitude of being finance professionals, and we all are incredibly passionate and enthusiastic about our Fynapse platform. To see the level of excitement now from Microsoft field sellers about having this Fynapse and D365 integrated solution in their arsenal has been so positive and demonstrates a validation of our solution as we take it to market. I think more broadly, we've had great access to resources, people, tools, and that's really helped us accelerate timelines. even before our ISV agreement was signed, we were getting great support on development. We ran joint hackathons, for example, to support our initial deployment to Microsoft Azure. The integration mechanism is another great example where that integration that we've got now between Fynapse and D365 has been jointly developed by our two teams. And now as an ISV partner, we have access to even more resources, people and tools. So it's a great journey looking forward as well. I think recently we also, just to give a couple of examples, we've also released a joint case study during the Finance Reimagined event. And again, great collaboration on that. We're also participating in the ISV Hero blog series. So just a quick plug, if I may, there to look out for our blog in April, which will be coming out soon. And then we're connected into the Microsoft Financial Services field teams across all of the regions now. And we've got an upcoming webinar plan there as well. So that there is plenty on the go and also so much to be excited about in terms of forward-looking activities.
Gosh, well, thank you so much for covering such a broad brush of the engagement, Nick, because a lot of it starts with the product, because like, hey, where do we find the right hooks for the integration? But you also touched upon what are the other areas that you can expand upon, which is, of course, opportunities to use the bigger Microsoft marketing engine through the things that we're doing. And you mentioned the Finance Reimagined type of stuff, because that is a big focus for us. But also it's our field teams. And that's where co-sell really comes into play, because a lot of the customers where they can see this joint value, especially CFOs, on how they're trying to get this forward-looking point of view and optimizing their finance and operations capabilities, can be done through both organizations. So that's great. So why don't we get to one of my favorite questions, which is, like, you touched upon where the sweet spot is. I mean, the roles that we help to serve, which is like Chief Revenue Officer, Chief Financial Officer, et cetera. But you also talked about financial services being a very critical space. But it's not just financial services that you're successful in. It's pretty much any company that has to report on financials is really it. So maybe you could talk about some joint stories of what we're seeing so far in the partnership of examples that you've seen, where when they've implemented Aptitude software in combination with Microsoft, whether it's Dynamics or other Microsoft things. Maybe you could talk about some of the stories that you've come across so far.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got quite a few examples. I think the one I would probably focus in on, again, highlighting that strong presence we have in the financial services industry, is a global insurance company that operates in, I think, over 120 countries now. And had implemented Dynamics 365 Finance, but they'd had a very lengthy and complicated close process. Now, that was down to the data upstream being distributed across multiple source systems in all of its regions and its various lines of business. Now, what's interesting with that example, whilst I'm only calling out one example, that for me is a typical scenario of what we see in so many financial services clients that have a global presence. Now, for this client, we added Aptitude's transactional accounting hub technology. And with this client was able to establish a consolidated single source of truth for financial data. Now, this really helped to increase that finance team's efficiency and significantly accelerated the end-to-end close process. So that's a really good example for me of how the Aptitude Fynapse solution, Microsoft Dynamics 365, can come together and help finance teams that are really grappling with large, complex finance architectures that may have been developed over time and obviously may not have had the investment needed to really modernize their finance architecture. I think more broadly with our Fynapse solution, we're starting to see the direct benefits of implementing Fynapse as well, where with the Fynapse clients, we've been able to demonstrate great metrics in terms of a 70% reduction in accounting rules, being able to demonstrate a 93% reduction in journal mappings and overrides. And all of these are really key to driving out efficiency in your finance organization. Other areas, obviously, which is, again, really important in finance, is demonstrating improvements in the ledger processing, bringing in close times, allowing the business to operate, the various lines of business to operate independently and not have dependencies within a legal entity structure. And then all of that, obviously, that's very much business performance, with obviously a lot from a technology performance that's key there as well, in terms of the volumes that we're able to process at that most granular business event level, how we've demonstrated superior performance with our cloud native solution over what was previously on-premises implementations, all at a reduced total cost of ownership. So there's so many different benefits there that we believe we can deliver to clients through the integrated platform.
I love it, Nick. And it's a combination of not just process improvements, but the speed to do it. I think you covered both of that. And that's what you want is not only, hey, the performance, the ability to improve business process internally, but then do it in a secure and highly performant way. Because again, when you're trying to analyze a general ledger, and that's millions of records that you're trying to review and all that stuff. So this is, it's great to have so many questions. So thanks again, Umesh, for asking a question. We have another question if you're open to asking, getting a potential response in real time, Nick. So Seton, or I apologize if I'm saying your name incorrectly. So Satine or Seton, how is Fynapse differ from BI and big data analysis?
So Fynapse provides the single point of truth for a finance function. So sitting at its heart is a finance data hub where we will hold the accounting flows, as I said, calculated at that most granular level with non-financial data, so that all of the data that's needed for a finance function, whether that's to support financial, statutory reporting, regulatory reporting, or business insights, we will hold all of that underlying data available. Now, what we then find is clearly clients will want to access that data using the right analytics tools and data analytics. And that's going to be a key part of our integrated solution with Dynamics 365 is to have the Power BI capability as well to be able to interrogate down to the most granular level.
I love it. And thank you for answering these questions in real time. It's great that we got 2 questions. So this is a good segue with about 3 minutes left, Nick. Why don't we provide people a call to action? Like, how do people learn more? And of course, we're doing this on LinkedIn. So I highly encourage you, for those of you who may think of a question after the fact, or you want to ask a follow-up question, we're on LinkedIn. And so you can find Nick, you can find myself. Feel free to send us a LinkedIn connection request or a LinkedIn message to engage. But maybe you can touch upon how do people learn more if I'm a Microsoft person, a Microsoft partner, or even I'm potentially a customer. If someone's listening and comes across this and goes, wow, I'm a CFO. I can use this. Oh, what are some of the things that you could describe, Nick, on call to action or things to learn?
Absolutely. So let's look at this for some of those groups you mentioned. So for the Microsoft teams, I think we're now on AppSource. So do take a closer look, have a look at our product. If you've got any questions, absolutely just contact us via the Contact Us feature on AppSource. Keep an eye out for our blog in April. We've got webinars coming, so there'll be a lot more information, but you may also have active clients where you're considering a more granular finance management platform. Absolutely do. Please get in touch. On the partner side, this is really key for us. So we already work with the financial practices of many of the largest system integrators, but the Microsoft partnership will really allow that potential to grow and reach into new clients. So I think we've got a huge opportunity there. We've also seen a strong interest from our partners who are attracted to the open design of Fynapse. Now, this open design provides partners with the opportunity to co-create and license their own IP built on our Fynapse platform. So again, further accelerating and differentiating their services and our solutions. So it's pleasing that that capability is providing an attractive proposition for the likes of the big 4 accountancy firms, but it doesn't need to be limited to that group of partners. So again, out to the wider partner network, we'd love to connect. And then most importantly, clients, if what we've covered today resonates with you, some of the finance problems or finance architecture issues that you're trying to solve, then absolutely reach out to your Microsoft rep, your partner, or to us directly if you'd like to learn more.
I love it. I mean, well said. And I also put Nick up here, just the website, aptitudesoftware.com. There is another question here, but we're going to run out of time because we do have a video that we're going to go run. But I would say, Umesh, the question up here, unless you want to comment, but I was going to defer it to just taking offline. The pricing model for SaaS or on-premise, direct or via partners only. If you want to comment on that, Umesh, Nick, if there's time. Otherwise, we could take that offline and Umesh, maybe someone at Aptitude can reach out to you directly.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, sounds good. So Nick and Aptitude, thank you so much, Nick, for allocating time. We truly, truly appreciate the continued investment that Aptitude Software has done with the Microsoft partner ecosystem. and in particular, the new Dynamics solution that was introduced last week. So much great insight that you shared. And any last words before we get to this about 2-minute video that the Aptitude software team put together?
No, just a huge thank you for the opportunity today, Brian. Really enjoyed the discussion. As I said, we're so passionate about our Fynapse solution and the benefits it brings to a finance function. And that Microsoft partnership is a real unique opportunity for us to extend the reach of our solution to new industries, new clients, and to help solve even more complex finance problems.
I love it, Nick. Great. Well, thank you so much again. Have a great week, everybody, and enjoy this Aptitude software video. Thanks.
They say that knowledge is power. They are wrong.
There is something different about this CFO. It's like she's one thing ahead.
It takes us a quarter to close a quarter, and then it starts again. How did they break the cycle?
When we know the tariff change, we can adjust the pricings in a moment. It won't change the 3-year forecasts.
Real power comes with complete confidence in your decisions.
How can I forecast the next 3 years? I can't project the next 3 months.
This doesn't make any sense. I mean, no one works that fast and that accurately. It's all coming from her.
So what's the plan?
We wait until she slips up.
I think we might be in for a long wait.
I want to know everything there is to know about her. Find her weakness.
What if she doesn't have one?
We launched this product in Canada, and it took 3 years for it to be profitable. How quickly would it be profitable in the UK?
According to demographics, buying habits and market pricing, it would take 4 years, but if you launched in France, it would be profitable in 18 months. Should I add this to your 3-year forecast dashboard?
Yes, please.
Those kind of data systems aren't compatible. So that kind of competition would take weeks, months, and we won't...
So how are they getting to the right answer so quickly?
Are you trying to tell me that she can see the future?
Instantly accessible quality data. That's power.
There's nothing we can do. I've tried everything.
No one should be that confident taking the risks she takes. It's like she knows something we don't.
Well, there's your answer.